If when you walked in, you noticed a note card sitting beside you, or was given one, look around on the floor. I want you to raise your hand. Now look around the room. Those with their hands raised represent the 1 in 4 college-age Americans that have a sexually transmitted disease, according to the Center for Disease Control in a 2012 report. It could be chlamydia, gonorrhea, the human papillomavirus, or any of the other numerous sexually transmitted diseases that are infecting our campuses. Now let's talk about the magnitude. Every year, there are 20 million new cases of STDs in America, and over half of these occur in persons aged 15 to 24, according to the American University Student Health Center. And most of these cases will go undiagnosed because they don't present symptoms. The Office of Women's Health reports that 75% of women and 50% of men infected with chlamydia will not show symptoms. The Vanderbilt Medical Center this past June reported that at any given time, there's about 400,000 people in the United States living with undiagnosed chlamydia. In addition, the New York Department of Health reports that about 80% of women and 15% of men infected with gonorrhea will not show symptoms as well. And if they don't show symptoms, most people will only find out they need treatment if they get screened. In general, about 50% of men and women, meaning 1 in 2 Americans, will attract the HPV virus at some point in their lifetime. And I think the scariest stat for us as college students is that between the ages of 20 and 24-year-olds account for the most cases of both chlamydia and gonorrhea than all other age groups in the United States combined. And who's to blame for this problem? The fact of the matter is, students just aren't having protected sex. A Lifestyles condom report from 2012 found that only about 44% of students have protected sex most of the time. And in fact, 1 in 4 admit that they don't regularly use a condom. And not only are they not having protected sex, but they're not getting tested either. In an interview with Elise Hansen, the director of our student health center here on campus, she said that they do about 40 screenings per month, which come out to about 400 per year. When you consider the 6,835 undergraduate students on our campus, that means Vanderbilt can account for only 6% of our students getting tested. And it's not that they're not having sex either. A study between 2006 and 2008 found that 75% of college students will be sexually active by the time they graduate, done by the National Center for Health Statistics. A group of professors at Johns Hopkins University teamed up to find out why students weren't getting tested. They found that, quote, those who perceive STDs to be stigmatizing were not as likely as their peers to undergo regular screening. They also found that students didn't want to know the answer, or they didn't want their insurance bill to their parents to show that they got tested, or they were afraid what others would think if they found out they were getting tested. So, in order to save them from themselves and their sexual habits, I propose that the U.S. government teams up with state governments and universities to require biannual screening for all undergraduate students in America. This would be enforced by not allowing students to register or attend classes like we do with things such as not paying a bill or forgetting to meet with your advisor. The cost on STD tests range depending on where it's done. Some cities offer free clinics where students can go. Planned Parenthood on their website says tests cost between $50 to $100 depending on the test. And Hansen says that here on campus, students who choose to use insurance will pay from $0 to $10, and those who do not pay $18 to $24. Now, because every college and university differs in size and their economic resources among a million other factors, if this was mandated, they'd get the option of how they'd wanted students to pay for it. They could do what the University of Florida does and just offer free testing to all undergraduate students, no questions asked. Or they could make it be billed to the student's insurance policy, which as students at Vanderbilt we have to have. Or they were just included in tuition and have it as that. Now, for those still not convinced, due to either privacy or religious concerns, keep in mind that this testing would be 100% confidential between the doctor and student or doctor and student's family if they were underage. Also, there are multiple types of tests to screen for STDs. The most common is a urine sample, which doesn't include needles, but you could also have your blood drawn, something as simple as a cheek swab, or any type of fluid sample. And For those still not convinced, the risks of leaving an STD untreated simply outweigh any objections you could have. Keep in mind that once infected, you can pass on the infection to any future partner if you go untreated. Also, while women have most of the long-term risks associated with STDs, 50% of men will eventually display symptoms such as warts or sores. And women infected with the HPV virus can lead to cervical cancer. Also, any pregnant woman who have an STD that goes untreated has the risk of passing it along to her child. Or developing pelvic inflammatory disease. Now, pelvic inflammatory disease, according to NEMRS, the largest kids' health nonprofit in the United States, 750,000 people will develop this per year, which leads to chronic pelvic pain, infertility, or in pregnant women, the pregnancy can develop in the fallopian tube instead of the womb, which causes the fallopian tube to eventually burst and cause a life-threatening situation for the woman. In conclusion, due to the magnitude of STDs on college campuses, the number of students not getting tested, and the risks of untreated STDs, I propose the government teams up with universities to require biannual STD testing and screening for all college undergraduate students. But you don't have to wait for a mandate to make a difference. You can get yourself tested right now and not become one of the undiagnosed statistics. Most STDs are curable and 100% are at least treatable once you know you have one. It's time you empower yourself with the knowledge to clean up our campus, one student, one STD at a time. Thank you.